Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 26 of the Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry podcast with me, Philip Ideson, and Darren MacAnthony, Chairman and owner of Peterborough United. It feels like we've been here before.
Champion,
yeah.
champion. I apologise for my low energy appearance in this podcast. I am absolutely wrecked. Like, I got home last night, obviously, watched the Masters. You know, I was up till 2 because I was so wired, full of adrenaline. And then obviously I had to be up at 6 a.m. to bring Callum, my son, to Heathrow. And then Rob, my driver, took Natalie and the girls to Gatwick. They're all going separate airports. Callum's flying back to Atlanta. They're flying back to Orlando. So this morning was like 3 hours sleep, dropped them all off. And I am absolutely spent, like, talking. And I've got like business Zoom calls this afternoon. Like, I gotta have a shower, but I'm just like,
put the game face back on
oh
again.
man, I tell you, you've no idea. I've been trying to do some cash flow documents this morning and going through reports and stuff, and my brain is so scrambled. I mean, scrambled. And I didn't even drink last night. God knows what people who celebrated are like. I had one beer that when I came back up from the dressing room after the game, I always bring the trophy up to everyone, which is always a nice walk up there, to everyone in the lounge. Natalie was like, "Oh, there's a beer." It was the only beer I had the whole fucking day. It was just one. So very surprising. But yeah, I'm just what a day, what a day, what a day, what a day. It's just wow.
So let's talk about the day. I mean,
sure.
You were probably the Peterborough fans, the only ones that believed you could do it.
Oh, our fans didn't believe we could do it. As great as my fans had been, my fans were secretly shitting themselves, most likely. After being thanked by Northampton 4-0 last week, I don't think anyone,
and losing in midweek to Birmingham.
I'll be honest with you. My wife was like, she gave me the speech before the game twice about whatever you do, you got to stay in the box if you lose. Don't go off, don't whatever else. But I'm like, okay, two things I said to her. One, I don't know why you're saying that because we'll win. And I said, two, as much as I can have a temper tantrum get angry, I'm always very magnanimous with teams who beat us. Birmingham won promotion on our patch last Tuesday. I had my football secretary send 100 beers down, champagne bottles down. That's never reciprocated by some other clubs. And that's not Birmingham I'm talking about. And we've had successful moments. But we've always done that. I think it's the right thing to do. Because it's such a special moment for a club, and we won promotion away. Robbie at Colchester, and we won promotion years ago, was brilliant. He sent booze down. He set us up in the bar. He came and had a drink with us. That's proper camaraderie amongst football owners. And it's as angry as you can be. I would never for a minute do that. So I would have stood there. I would have said, "Well done." I would have clapped them. They raised the trophy, all of that stuff. So she did say that to me. So she had, I think, very little belief. My dad was giving me a pep talk, and it was all this, and I stopped my family yesterday. We took a picture in the kitchen before we left, and we were leaving to Wembley at 11. And I said to the kids and everyone, they all looked a bit ashen faced. They all looked a bit worried. And I said to them, And I said to them all in the kitchen, guys, I said, Peterborough United are unbeaten at Wembley. And I said, trust me, it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. So just chill. And I said, enjoy your day. And I felt like that. And maybe my manager gives me that confidence. I spoke to him the night before, and he was super confident. And, who knows? But look, cup finals, playoff, all those things, I think you have to have the mindset of being super confident, because if you don't, your players definitely won't. And, it's real equalizer. Those pressure moments are a real equalizer. But look, we were 4-1 to win. I think it was the longest odds ever for somebody to win that trophy, which I think, those odds were disrespectful. As good as Birmingham are, I get we've had a shit season, but we're no fucking mugs. I mean, we were 2-0 up away at Birmingham at their place. I think their manager said we were the best team that played there. And we've had our challenges, but, and we've had ups and downs. Yes, we've been inconsistent, but as shown beating Charlton a couple of weeks ago 3-0, and Charlton have won, 9 out of 10 games or something, and we tanked them 3-0. We're a fucking good team when we're at it, and our heads are screwed on and we're focused. So, I was quietly confident, throughout the day, to be fair, before, during, you know, and I was calm at halftime. I was,
Yeah.
well, what else do you want to know?
It's a good job you didn't have your 2-0 at half-time superstition
Yeah,
going
people
anymore.
people said that to me, and I was like, "Look, I got rid of that a couple of years ago, you know, a
Yeah.
year ago, whatever." I was like, "I'm done with superstitions. I can't, you know what I mean? This is ridiculous. The OCD's off the charts." So, no, I mean, no, I was confident at halftime because I thought the pitch would open up even more for us.
So let's talk pre-game. You know, do you
Sure.
feel like, I know that you know, you probably don't necessarily like all the pomp and circumstance and everything. You just want to kind of wait, you know, get out there at the game's kicked off and, you know, focus on the match. So did you
Yeah,
have a lot of that to do beforehand?
in the past, my family were too young to travel with me, so I'd go
Yeah.
to a lot of those big playoff games. My wife would come, but I'd always go outside for a smoke. We'd be walking around outside the stadium. We did it at Old Trafford in the playoff final. We did it at Wembley 11 years ago. You know, and we'd be out there with the fans with a cigarette, not really spend much time in that dinner setting in the Royal Box. But now my kids are there, and we've a lot more family coming around the club, and we visitors from America. You know, there were a lot of, you know, special people. There was my partner Ian, you know,
Yeah.
Jason, who's been involved at the club, you know what I mean, came over to watch the game.
Yeah.
Gary and Greg, who are, you know, guys who've helped with the club the last year and a half as well. They were great guys. Them and their families all came over. You know, so I have to now, as I've got older, mature, I have to spend a bit more time socializing and you know,
Yeah.
sitting down for the dinner and doing the whole EFL thing.
Mhm.
And so, you know, we arrived there like 12:30. You know, everyone sat at their table spots. You go out and have a quick look on the terrace where you're sitting. You know, you have a walk around the room. Everyone's having a glass of champagne and a drink. Then the speeches, the dignitaries. I went over to Tom from Birmingham City, who owns it, not Tom Brady, the owner. You know, I wasn't going to be like a fanboy. Lots of people were fanboys around Tom Brady, you know, trying to get pictures and videos and stuff. And as much as he's I can't do that.
Yeah.
So, but the only person I did that was with Glenn Powell, the Hollywood actor from Top Gun. My daughters were basically like, went, "Oh my God, Glenn Powell's here, Dad." So in fairness, I struck up a chat with him, and then the girls came over and I got them a photo. But TV12, I didn't do that with, and I'm not sure he would have been smiling for the photo anyway. So I saw the Birmingham owner, and I just went over and I congratulated him on, you know, winning. But it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
He was a lovely guy, really humble guy. We chatted about, you know, obviously me being in the business 19 years, he's only new to it the last couple of years, and just about their success this season and, you know, aspirations. And he was asking me about, you know, our recruitment and, you know, a couple of my players he was asking about intentionally. So that was a really good chat, and he's a really lovely man. And then I went down to the touchline just to see the gaffer out on the pitch, wish him well. He's like, "Come on into the dressing room." And I'm like, "No, not until after. You know, I don't go in there, you know, or whatever else unless invited in afterwards." I said, "I'll leave you professionals to it." Did some media rounds. Obviously, Sky, you know, obviously gagging usually most years to have me on. And I got relegated to Sky Sports News, not the live TV coverage,
Mhm.
because obviously they were obsessed with the Super Bowl winner, you know, and obviously the billionaires stuff. So, but when the game was over, Sky Dragons were desperate for me to go on then and talk then. So I wound them up on TV. I basically ribbed them, you know what I mean, about that. "Oh, now you want me on, you know, blah
Now you're
blah
good
blah." So,
enough.
yeah. So, but that was good. You see a lot of people from the media down there. You see people who aren't players, who are staff of the club, go back up. You know, my family, my wife had some of her family. They were in the Bobby Moore. We were in the Royal Box. You know, you talk to people, and yeah, it was a really good occasion. You go take your seats down at 3 o'clock, and off we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what a start. I mean, Harley Mill's free kick.
yeah. Phil, it was glorious.
Incredible.
I mean, it was glorious. We had like 4 academy players in the starting 11. You know, you're playing the biggest team in the league. You're playing one of the best teams that's ever won League One. You talk about the monies and all of that, but forget all that. You know, we were very good. I said it before the game to one of the press people. I said, if our defense is 8 out of 10, we'll win. We already have a good enough attack. We know that. We know we can score goals. We know we're very good in attack. You know, we're like top 3 in goal scoring in England. But if our defense pulls out a shift and gives us an 8 out of 10, we win every game we play. And that's always been the way. And to have 2 teenage fullbacks from our academy playing against the best attack in League One, phenomenal. But then to see Harley, because 𝗛𝗿𝗄𝘁 was trying to get him off the ball, even though Harley's on it, you know, and that can happen sometimes, and it drives you mad when you see players arguing about penalties or about free kicks. So the minerals on our Harley to basically tell 𝗛𝗿𝗄𝘁 to buzz off,
Yeah.
you know, take the free kick then, because now he's under pressure. He's got to like deliver. You know, unbelievable. Harrison Burrows left back from our academy last year, man of the match. Harley Mills, academy left back this year, man of the match. Yeah, I mean we've got some strength and depth in the fullback areas, and Harley looks like he could really cement that place to be his own for years to come. And James Donnelly on the other side, he's up against Anderson. He's up against some talented players attacking him. And there was look, every player was superb. Manny Fernandez, best game he's played for months.
Yep.
He hasn't really been that involved as much
Yep.
since the Norwich, move fell apart.
Yep.
He was a colossus. Oscar next to him. The midfield players ran probably the most they have all season. The front four, dangerous at all times. I know everyone goes, look, the Birmingham manager was talking. I saw his comments afterwards saying that, we had two world-class goals. That was it. Not sure what game he was watching because we cut them open in the second half. Ricky got in 3 times behind.
The pace that Ricky had in the second half to get to run through.
Ricky ripped them apart. The ball's in behind for him. I think Birmingham had one shot on goal, really, which is the late one that Jed Steer saved. The rest were all kind of like tippy-tappy. We had the best chances. Birmingham controlled possession. But from a dangerous point of view, our attack looked a lot more dangerous and potent than Birmingham. So I appreciate, you're in the heat of the moment, and he wants to say,
and he's not used to losing. He doesn't know what to say after you lose.
I get it. Listen, he's been manager of the year. They're a superb League One team.
Yeah.
They're going to be a threat in the champ. Their owner's going to put a lot of money in. And it's easy to put money in, but you have to do well with it. And their manager will do well with it because he has his team working hard. So it meant a lot to them. There were rows on the pitch afterwards from the Birmingham players showing.
The full-time whistle was interesting when everyone kind of had to come together.
Yeah, I know. Look, that's football. At the end of the day, you want your players to care. I can't criticize their players, for getting the hump, and then having a bit of a clash because you want your players to care, and they had 50-odd thousand people there yesterday, but our fans were just wow. And then obviously 11 minutes of injury time. Jesus, I mean, what do I always say about Posh when they're winning?
Exactly what you were saying when 11 minutes went up.
That's to be fair.
The good thing is you controlled it. Yeah,
we controlled it bar one shot. We did control it, like we did. I mean, we had injuries. Look, in fairness to the ref, the referee was brilliant. Yeah. So I can criticize him for maybe playing 14 minutes instead of the 11, but the referee was brilliant. I mean, I was surprised he didn't buck to the pressure of the big fan base, the big club, like a lot of refs do. He was absolutely nailed on. Now, if that's a ref I've criticized in the past, I apologize, and I would say, why weren't you like that in the past? Yeah. But he was that good. He could ref in the Premier League. He was absolutely outdone. Maybe he does, I don't know, but he was superb. Absolutely didn't fall for any nonsense. Played it right down the line. And it was just, I never felt, I watched the game and I never felt nervous, really weirdly. Even though they could have scored with 4 minutes in injury time to go and Jed made a really good save, I never felt, I wasn't shitting myself.
No.
Like I thought we kept it in front of us. I thought we dealt with everything, like set pieces, corners, Of course, they got in behind a few times because that happens when you beat the press. But I thought our shape, I thought our discipline, I thought our outlets, I thought the threat up front we had always kept them on their toes. No, I to a man, and of course you would say, why haven't you been like that all season? But there are mitigating circumstances. There are injuries. There are young players who played yesterday that 5 months ago weren't ready to put that performance in, weren't ready for that cauldron. They are now, and now we'll get them some help and we'll see what they're really made of. So, it was a great day. Great day. And it was to take that trophy home again, which is sitting down in my kitchen downstairs. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you if it's with you again today.
Oh shit. Yeah. That was in the taxi on the way home.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's my trophy. So, it's, to make history and retain it, be the first team to do it, to join Bristol as the 3 times winner. That's our 3rd one in 11 years for me as owner. For Darren, his 4th one, his 3rd as manager. The only manager who's won 3. It's history. That's our FA Cup, and we've made history.
Never lost at Wembley either, which is an incredible statistic. 5 out of 5 now, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Peterborough United for you, baby. So, not that I want to do playoff finals at Wembley. Do you know what I mean? I'll take automatic promotion, but no, I'm really chuffed for everyone involved. It was that trophy sitting on my kitchen counter. Every time I go down from my office, I keep walking by it and giving it a double stare. You know what I mean? But nobody expected that yesterday, so I'm so delighted for our fans. Our fans deserve that more than anything. Because we've been through so much shit this season, and all I said at the end was to manager and else is, look, let's win the next 5 league games. Let's go into the summer, on a high. Knowing all the things we need to fix. We'll be really at it. And we'll be at it from the minute we come back, towards the end of June for pre-season, and we got camp already sorted at St. George's Park. a very good place for us historically for seasons that precede it.
Yeah.
We know what we want to do recruitment wise. Let's fucking get at it now. You play a team like that, as good as they are, and show what we can be, and go, fucking, why can't we fucking, let's go again. And we've got this academy that is now a massive part of our football club. Like, our academy helped us win. I said it before. They got us through to that final, and our academy won us that final yesterday with the performances of our academy players. That is 4 academy players in the 11. That's some going, by the way.
How was Barry Fry during the game?
He's magnificent.
You could certainly see him on the camera, and he looked like he was going through the motion, or going through the ringer a little bit.
It was brilliant. I checked in on him, but it was really funny because I started talking to everyone once the 100 minutes struck. I think it was meant to have a minute left.
Yeah.
And everyone's looking at me, and I'm just saying to everyone in the box, what about how are them apples? How about them apples? What do you think of that? There you go. And everyone's looking at me, and I'm like, that's how confident I was. It's like, even if the ref had played another 6 minutes, we were winning that fucking trophy. So I just looked around and I took it all in, and I had a really nice hug with my family. The amount of messages from other owners, I had 3 Premier League owners message me. Fucking loved it. They did. Loads of people in football. A lot of players as well. A lot of love. It was nice. And you know what, Phil? Like I said, the season it's been, that was a beautiful moment. Beautiful moment. It's the best one. And the level of opposition.
Yeah.
To beat them. So that was really good. Sorry to upset the odds. I mean, to take out Wrexham, the second best team in League One, in the semi-finals away from home, to take out the best team in League One in the final in front of 50,000 of their fans. I think you'd say it's a deserved trophy win. There ain't anything lucky about that one, is there?
No. And like you say, it shows the talent that you do have in the squad.
Correct.
That you can do that.
Mass potential. Now we have to nourish that potential, harness it, and make our players believe that clubs can be as big as you want them to be, but talent is talent. And we have enough talent to be a match for anybody any day of the week in League One. So if we can find that consistency and back all of that up with hard work, we'll be a fucking absolutely frightening force to be reckoned with over the next couple of years. I just have a feeling. So
now, one of the things I wanted to call out, because I just saw this on TV afterwards, well, as it was live, but I thought it was a really nice touch seeing folks behind the scenes like Liz and Dawn in the row box, with the trophy lift. And I just thought it was really nice to kind of bring in, I mean, ultimately it's a team game, but that team expands way beyond the folks who are on the field. And all the work that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's lovely, you Dawns, your Liz's of the world, so important to the club. You so many people, from Chris Brewer and his ticket department, they're all there, whether in the Royal Box to Bobby Moore. We had little old Bobby who's looked after our boardroom for years there with his wife. They're retiring this year. They were there. We had, I organised, I paid for a box for 8. I bought one that was above where we were in the Royal Box, and we put, Gene Ventures and quite a few of our older fans in that box. Sandy and Peter Lane, who do a lot of work for, the Posh, the history of the club and stuff, and the Hall of Fame. So they all got a nice day out in a box. So I did that, and I thought it was only right to do that for them. So many people have been around the club for a long time. You have your celebrity fans, Adrian Durham, buying his own tickets, down there in the crowd. I got friends who work at Sky who are Posh fans, So for them to see that, to witness that, the families of the players, I mean, my God. I mean, look, they always say you go to Wembley, you got to win. You got to win. And it's like, it's so important, you know what I mean, to walk away the victors. So I wish I could go back now to yesterday and freeze time a bit.
Yeah.
Because those moments pass too quickly.
Yeah.
My family are now on airplanes and out of here. Yeah. I'm getting emotional even saying this. It was just a great moment being with my kids. They're so excited for me. They're so worried for me going into the game, thinking we're going to get our arses spanked. And then they're in shock at the end, so excited. And I'm kind of like, I fucking told you so. So yeah, it's
I saw the picture of Callum with a trophy as well afterwards.
Yeah. They all loved it. My girls were out they went back out on the balcony afterwards when I brought the trophy upstairs. They're doing their Insta shots. They're sending out their Glenn Powell pictures to their friends who are all like, what the fuck? What's he doing there at Wembley? So, and yeah, so the only thing I'm good at was my dad wasn't there. He's just getting over a quick thing he had that was wrong with him. He's on the mend from it. He's never been to one of those games with me. If I could have one more wish, if I was getting greedy, he could come and be at Wembley with me and the family and experience all of that, enjoy all of that. So, no, great day. And quick thank you to the fans. You know, hopefully, I know it's not making up for all how bad the season's been, but hopefully, you know, they took that in yesterday. I've had loads of pictures from fans with their parents and, you know, whatever. So, you know, I had Bucks this morning send me an email to him and his dad, who's 80 years old. Those moments, they're precious, you know. So, like I said, let's go for the three-peat.
This is why you know, these are the moments you remember, right? I mean, you're not in 20 years' time, you're not going to remember that, you know, the season should have been better than it was in the league, but you're going to remember the day that you won at Wembley.
No, I'm not going to remember losing a playoff game to Oxford.
Yeah.
You know, I will Sheffield Wednesday for obvious reasons, but I won't remember the Oxford playoff game.
Yeah.
I hardly remember the Leyton Orient game from 15 years ago, whatever we lost. So, but you're always going to remember these days. You're going to remember those days you win cups. You know, everyone likes to belittle this trophy, but Peterborough United has won a lot of promotions and 3 cups inside 11 years. For a club our size, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Now, what did you make of Jeff Stelling's comment this morning that, you know, nobody cared outside of Birmingham and Peterborough fans?
It's really funny because last night Phil texted me and said, "Oh, Talksport want you on at 7:45 tomorrow morning on the with Ali McCoist and Jeff Stelling." And I was like, "Listen, there's no way I'll be. I'm doing airport runs, and I am absolutely knackered. Get Baz to do it." Then obviously I came home from the airport and saw the comments. Jeff's come on, and we've been tweeting directly to each other. So, look, you can have your opinion, each to your own. I venomously disagree with what he said. I'm hoping in time you'll see that as a mistake. What he said, I think it's an error. We've had a lot of fans tweet, independent fans who didn't watch the Premier League yesterday and actually watched that game on Sky TV. You asked the Birmingham fans, you know, and I've had loads of Brummies and Blue Noses basically email or tweet today going, "You deserved it," you know, top class, like top class. When we were leaving the stadium, I got my driver to pull over. I hadn't had a cigarette in 7 hours. So I was having a smoke on the side of the road, and loads of Blue Noses were flying by in the car. And to be fair, they were giving it the, you know, that's class. You know, you asked the Posh fans, you know, 2 cup trips inside of 12 months. Like we've just said, that doesn't mean anything. Nobody watches that game outside of Peterborough and Birmingham fans. No, I don't believe that. I was watching League One and League Two games on Saturday. I told you that before we came on air. I had Bradford on another game. There was another game I was doing highlights from on my little analysis computer because we're getting to the stage now with final scouting reports. So I was working. So I love watching league football. You know, even more now than the Premier League, if I'm honest with you.
I was going to say, because of, I mean, on one hand, you know, maybe what he said is taken out of context, and you could argue, like, I don't care who plays in the FA Cup final, to be honest, anymore.
Bullshit. I always watch it, but I get what you're saying. But if it's on, I still watch it. I still watch the FA Cup final. I'm a Liverpool fan. If Man United, Man City, I watched it last year. I can't remember the last time I get tickets to all of these things. And I've never been lucky enough to be in the country, so I give them to Bass. And, you know, like tonight, Premier League game on. I'm not watching that game. I'm watching Coventry play in the Championship. I like watching Coventry play. I have £1 million in if they get promoted. So, you know, I'll be watching them tonight.
And it's more enjoyable. I find like league football is more enjoyable than the Premier League right now.
100%. I agree. I'm watching the Premier League now. I don't think it was as good as it used to be. Gary Neville made a really good valid point on the Outlook or whatever it's called they have. Is it the Outlook? No.
With the one where he's got Roy Keane and Ian Wright and everything.
Yeah, exactly. They have that show. They're all making a fortune on. He made a point the other day that the last 4 years, the most passes in the Premier League are like 4 of the top 5 are defenders. 5 years prior to that, it was number 10s and central midfielders. That's the way the game's going now. It's got a little bit too European. It's got a little bit too bland at times. So I feel there's a real, not a disdain for the Premier League, but I do think there's a bit of a shift. I think it's a great chance for the EFL, particularly with all the American interest now and the owners of Birmingham, the owners of Wrexham. You know, our league has a lot of good product. You look at the Bradford game on Saturday and say, how many 5-4s? Sorry, but how many 5-4s are you going to get in the Premier League every weekend? So, you know, there's a lot to be said about that. I do. I don't know about the Premier League. I think it's got too technical. I think it's got too OTT. There's all these managers that come in and they've thought even the most lowest team in the Premier League to basically play like a European club with 800 passes a game. You know,
English football is all about pace and power and
the way we like to play.
Yeah.
And I'll give Liverpool credit. Liverpool's credit will be they're all about, yes, Slot's made them a little bit. They build up a little bit slower. They're not as quick and gung-ho as Jurgen Klopp, but it's still all about the front line, the front three, the goals, the whatever else. Do you know what I mean? So, there's just it's a little bit stagnant in the Premier League. It'll be interesting to see if it changes. And it can be a little bit boring. So, but let's go back to the 5-4. Enough about Peterborough and winning trophies.
I mean, we texted, didn't we, after the game about emotional roller coaster, and our game versus your game just shows right there the emotional roller coaster of football. And I was lost for words, for what I'd seen. So, it's a big, important game for us. We've struggled on the road. The home form is really what's got us to the top of the table, which we were at kickoff.
Yeah.
And
Swindon are a bit of a lottery ticket. You don't know what you're going to get with Swindon.
No, are they going to be on the beach, or are they going to be trying to, win contracts for next season?
Yeah.
And 9 minutes in, we're 2-0 up. And you're like, okay, so we could get promoted. This could be what gets us promoted, basically. They didn't have a prayer. We were playing like champions. And 2 minutes later, stupid red card for our captain, Richie Smallwood, who went in. It was one of those challenges, probably went in a bit too hard, maybe a little over the top. It looked a lot worse in real time than it did kind of when you watch the replay, because when you watch the replay, everyone kind of, it's the way that they fell on each other.
To be made. Where it was in the pitch, it never needed to be made. Do you know what? What have I said about red cards from my players recently?
Yeah.
The stupidity. With all due respect to you, he's your captain, right? Like, the stupidity. Manage the game. It's the halfway line. What the fuck are you even giving a referee an opportunity? Anyway, sorry, carry on. I interrupted you.
No, I mean, it's right. You 2-0 up. 12 minutes in, you're walking this game, and like you said, a challenge that doesn't need to be made on the halfway line, and now you're down to 10 men, and you've got your talisman basically banned for the next 3 games. Which is 3 of the last 4. There's 4 games left in the season. And so 10 minutes later, 2-1 own goal. One of those kind of own goals, deflection, couldn't really do too much about it, but still go down in the books as an own goal.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, not looking so good. And then 35 minutes, we scored 3-1. Callum Kavanagh, hat-trick, first hat-trick in professional football, 35 minutes. Every goal pretty much a carbon copy of each other, which was this long throw that came from nowhere.
That bounce, by the way. How Swindon's defenders, not once, but 3 times allowed a fucking long throw in to bounce. Ian Holloway must have been ready to decapitate his defenders.
They were probably thinking, where did that long throw came from? Because we've not done a long throw the whole of the season. And then we scored 3 from 3 long throws after half an hour. So 3-1, and you're thinking, okay, 2-goal lead. Maybe we're going to hold on to it this time.
Yeah.
And then basically the last minute of injury time, first half, sloppy defending. Your boy, who's on loan there, Chiminga, scored 3-2. And you're looking at halftime thinking, okay, there's no way that we're not going to concede again. So, playing the way that we're playing for another 45 minutes. So what do? Do you stick or twist? And I think he looked at it and thought, I've got to show up the defense. So we basically made some subs. We went with what I felt was an 8-0-1 formation to just lock up, at the back. Came out and what was it, about an hour in, I think it was, 3-3. And now you've really got no attacking options on the pitch. We did make a couple of subs, opened up a little bit. 77 minutes on the clock. Somehow we came and scored 4-3. I think the whole street, maybe the whole town heard me when that went in. Because, okay, we got to 4-3. Now we just, we've got something here to defend again. Defended until the 90th minute. On the 90th minute, 4-4.
Jesus.
And then, okay, we've thrown this away. We got to just keep it.
Take the point.
Keep it tight, get a point. 8 minutes of injury time, or 7 minutes of injury time, 1 or 2. And of course, 8th minute of injury time, cross comes in, Jack Shepherd slides across to try and block it. deflects off him. Maybe it was going to the man on the back post, so he had to make the slide. Own goal, and you're 5-4, 98 minutes.
Oh my God!
I was just deflated. Isn't the word for it? I was just in silence. Just trying to comprehend what I just watched and the emotions that I'd been through for the last 110 minutes.
This promotion's been really, it's going to be hard earned, isn't it, for you emotionally?
You never do anything easy. I mean, it's not, I guess it's not our style. And maybe this is why we are where we are. We're still second in the table, I think.
Yeah.
Walsall have won one in since February or something, and they're still third.
They're hanging on by the skid marks in their cacks, aren't they, at the moment?
Because it's so close. That's why no one's running away with it.
Yeah, and obviously Donny had drew with Wimbledon. I saw that result alongside your results, so that was a decent. Obviously Port Vale had the best result of the day, didn't they? They're flying.
5-0 against Bromley. Notts lost at home. Who did they lose?
Salford. Wasn't it Salford?
That's right. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
So they lost at home as well. So we're still in there with a fighting chance.
Who's next up?
So we have Notts County at home on Thursday, and then Chesterfield away on Monday.
How far are Notts County off you points-wise?
They're far enough away.
5 points.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look now. So let's see, Notts County are on 68. We're on 73.
Yeah, 5 points. I thought so. Yeah. Are you gonna shit the brick if they win on your place?
I mean, it feels like it's the promotion that nobody wants to win.
Jesus.
So right now it's Port Vale 76 points, us 73, Walsall 72, Doncaster 71 with a game in hand.
Mental.
So they win that game in hand. They would go to 74, but we'd still be on 73 and in third place. Wimbledon 69, Notts 68, Grimsby 66.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous top 7. Like ludicrous.
Yeah. And even outside, so all the way down to 11th could get in the playoffs.
So Chesterfield have got something to fight for, right?
Oh yeah, Chesterfield are on 62, so they're far off the playoffs with 4 to play, which is doable. The last 4 games of the season.
Oh my God. So you got Notts County. Well, obviously, I presume you're a sellout for that game.
Not for the Notts County, because it's on Sky at 8 p.m. and because they're not doing the cheap tickets. I mean, it's still going to be 20,000+ there.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 23, I don't think.
That's good. It's on Skype, so I'll be able to get back and watch that after our game.
Yeah.
So, no, that's good. That'll be a cracker. Because Notts County.
Yeah, 8 o'clock kickoff.
No, that'd be cool. I look forward to that.
So I'm flying tomorrow to come over for.
You're doing a bit of scouting for me, aren't you?
I am on Monday, but I'll be scouting the Chesterfield players. I'm not going to be giving you any tips on the Bradford players.
Oh, classic shit. So you fly. When do you land?
So I land on Wednesday morning at Heathrow. First thing Wednesday morning.
Are you going to the Posh game on Friday?
Yeah. So
watch the Bradford game at night?
Yeah. Bradford game at night on Thursday. Come down to Peterborough on Saturday morning.
Yeah. And
then Chesterfield on Monday. And then I head back out on Tuesday.
Yeah. Nice. Can you get promotion while you're here?
Maybe if everybody else loses and we win both of them. I was hoping that with a win or two that we could have done it, that we could have celebrated promotion while I was here. But this is probably going to go all the way down to the wire.
Would your wife serve divorce papers if you won both games? You just needed a point the following Saturday, and you decided there was a lot of procurement business in the UK for the week. Kind of thing.
Suddenly become a scout. Doncaster for you.
Exactly. Yeah, go out and get lots of games in. Shit.
Yeah. I will say that I got the call to. You had a special mission for me at Doncaster on Saturday.
Oh my God! I mean, how many? If Peterborough played Bradford at Wembley, the size of Bradford the club, how many Bradford fans do you think would have come to Wembley?
When we've gone down to Wembley before, it's probably 30 to 35,000. I would say.
Unbelievable. I think nowadays you'd get 40.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean,
it's been a while since you've been there, right? So
Yeah, we were
without a
there.
doubt.
What was it, like 2017, 18-ish
Yeah.
when we lost in the playoffs?
Yeah.
But usually when we go there, we give them 30.
Yeah.
And we sell the 30.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, our fans did great to get 20. It was down on last year, but it's an expensive day out, like 2 trips in a year. I felt for, I was having to go to ticket ops at one point going, how can we be down like 10, 15%, whatever on last year?
Mhm.
But, the common sense kind of goes in, well, it's very expensive and we've now been twice inside of 12 months there, for like families to go.
And for the casual fan, the ones that may not go to the home games but want to go to Wembley, they went last year, so it's not as much of an occasion.
Yeah.
Going and doing it for second time.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? Well, look, I'll have everything crossed for you this weekend, so hopefully they'll do the business for you. I mean, these are cracking games. I mean, your fixture list now, the next few games is just gold dust. So you're gonna have to earn this promotion now. You're really gonna have to earn it. Like some teams by default, like fall over the line. You're gonna have to. If you don't win games, you don't go up. So you're gonna have to earn this promotion because of the teams you're playing.
I feel like we probably need to win 2 of the last 4 to get promoted.
I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah, that puts us down to 79. Yeah. Given some of the other games as well, and we're playing teams around there. Yeah, I think that should be enough.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the hope anyway. So interesting. Well, listen, let's hope it's a great weekend for you. We want the win double this weekend for us as well, so that's important. I want to win every game left and go into that summer with momentum. So
you've got Stockport at the weekend.
Yeah, they're flying. They're flying.
Stockport on Friday, and then Barnsley on Monday.
Yeah, Barnsley have just had a great win. I forget who they hammered. They battered somebody the other day. Scored a good few. Got Bolton, I think they battered.
Was it 4-1 or something like
that?
Yeah,
it was crazy. So obviously they're players are trying to earn contracts and do well for the end of the season. So they're definitely not on the beach. So Stockport are flying. Probably not have a lot of plaudits, because of the Wrexham story and the Wycombe story and the Birmingham story, but Stockport have had a magnificent season. So that'll be that'll be a juicy game.
And only 4 points off Wycombe.
Correct.
Yeah, for all the plaudits Wycombe have had.
Yeah. So that'll be a cracking game. So yeah, looking forward to it, to be fair, because we're running out of games and, we'll have no football for like 2 months. So got to enjoy the last few games. What else going on in the football world? I've kind of like.
So your boy Mo Salah signed his contract.
He did. Another 20 mil a year. Fair play to the owners. Fair play to Mo and his agent. And and I believe Van Dijk has as well. So, it's great to get them 2 done. I don't think Trent's staying, but we'll take Mo and we'll take Verge. And that's a little bit less surgery needed on the team. It was, I didn't see the game yesterday. I don't know how they played. I saw the highlights. They won. Obviously 2 more wins and it's the league title, so it'll be great.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter how you play at this point, does it?
No, just win games, just win and get your trophy. So at the end of the day, that'll be. I'm looking forward to that. See Liverpool lift the trophy. Be a posh Liverpool win double trophy season.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's make it posh. Posh Liverpool, Bradford triple.
Perfect. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So yeah, that'll be magnificent.
We had. I don't think we covered it last week, but Arsenal beating Real Madrid 3-0 in the first leg. Second leg is Wednesday, so we should be published before that. I mean, you feel like it's still not over.
Yeah.
You don't go to Real Madrid with a 3-0 lead and think that all you need to do is show up.
No, you have to attack them. If you go with the attitude, it'll be like Sheffield Wednesday all over again. So if Arsenal are 1-0 down inside of 8 minutes, that'll be 5-4 to Real Madrid. So, but I would expect Arsenal to get the job done. I think Madrid have a bit of chaos going on there. So it'll be a big surprise. And then the onus is on Arsenal to win the actual trophy itself. I still think PSG will win it. Yeah. But I think their name's on it this season because of the way they play. But if there's ever a year you want to do it, like the year we beat Tottenham, no Real Madrid there, that's the year you do it, So, mind you, we had to go through Barcelona, at the time to do that. So it'll be interesting. But I think they've given up on the league for sure. They made a lot of changes on Saturday against Brentford. And it'll be an interesting end of the season there.
Man United keep on losing. So now 3 points off 17. Is this just a limp to the finish and regroup, or do you think they're going to take this? Is there a risk of them taking this into next season as well? This fall?
I really don't know. I mean, I know he's sticking to the way he wants to play and the formation and everything else. He's not, if they're like this in August through to October, he could be in trouble. So it'll be really interesting to see if they stick with him. I guess it depends on, he hasn't really had a transfer window yet. So, where they brought in his players. So it'll be really interesting. The first three signings are probably the most important three signings this summer in 30 years for Manchester United. Yeah. So if they get those three signings wrong, it'll be problematic. So I don't know. I saw the highlights. Newcastle absolutely stuffed them. So it's really, really bizarre. As a Liverpool fan, I'm not going to make any comments, but as a pundit on my podcast, I will say a club that size, see them struggling with the billions that have been spent and the fortunes over the years. It's baffling, really.
Yeah, what a fascinating lower half of the Premier League it is. When you have, Everton are actually doing probably over what they've been done in the last few years, but you got Man United, Spurs, West Ham down there. It wasn't for such a bottom three that struggled so much. That
underachieved.
That could have been a relegation battle for the ages.
That could have been if the bottom three had been so poor, in context. That was those three clubs you just mentioned have all underachieved. At the end of the day, Spurs massively. Man United massively. West Ham you could forgive probably because of the change of manager and they brought a lot of players in, but massive underachievement. And then you see some of the clubs that have gone top 10 with the overachievement. So, and then you look at Wolves, who've just flown since their manager's gone in there. So, really, really interesting stuff. And then the Championship, that was a hell of a win for Plymouth on Saturday. They've been a really streaky team.
Flip side of Sheffield United is Plymouth now. Still bottom, but they're joint bottom now, 40 points, only 3 points off 21st, where they've just been buried for months.
Yeah, their manager's really the up. I don't know if they keep him if they go to League One. He's obviously bloody good. They've had a real uptick. Fair play to them. But that bottom 5 or 6, I want to say, is going to be an exciting run in right there. Because right now, would you put your money on 3 that you have to get right?
I would probably, if I had to put money on anybody at the moment, it's probably Luton, Cardiff, maybe Hull, maybe Portsmouth. I don't know. You can see now that Plymouth have got the momentum, and that's all that matters at this stage of the season is carrying the momentum. And I'm not sure that Luton and Derby do. Oh, sorry, Luton and Cardiff do. Derby did, and then they haven't won in the last 3.
Yeah.
Portsmouth have only won. I can only see the last 6. They've only won 1 in the last 6. I don't know what their form is before then.
Oxford have really got out of it the last couple of games. I fancy Luton to get out of it. Special mention, by the way, to Millwall, because they have absolutely fucking flown up that league, haven't they?
You get 2 points off the playoffs now.
That's what I mean. Some massive results, So fair play to them. They've changed this season, and I know, the previous owner who passed away, sadly, I knew him. His son's now running the ship. Whatever they're doing, it's working. So, big credit to them.
And Bristol City, another one that have just been perennial kind of mid-lower mid-table.
You're happy for their fans.
Yeah.
Because they've pretty much had how many years of basically not gone up, not gone down.
Right.
Their fans must every season get to January, February and go, here we fucking go again. By the end of January, start of February, we're going to games just to watch games. So their manager, fair play to him. This is the first time now Bristol City look like they've got a great chance. So credit to them, and maybe they're due that bit of luck.
I'm happy to see Nahki Wells still scoring at the top end of the Championship as well.
Yeah, mad. But they've got a lot of good young players, Bristol City. Good academy, really well operated, run, playing a good style of football. The manager's been there, 18 months is it now? And it's working. So fair play to them, I honestly couldn't call who the fuck is going up by the playoffs in the Champ.
No.
You can nail on that Burnley and Leeds are promoted, but I couldn't call who's coming from the next, whoever ends up in the playoffs. It's mental.
And it could be anyone down to Millwall in 9th that gets promoted.
100%. Couldn't call it. So if you said to me, pick one, I'll be like, I could give you a million reasons why it's going to be Middlesbrough, why it's going to be Sunderland, why it's going to be Sheffield United, Coventry, Bristol City. Now we're talking about Millwall. I don't know. It's a fascinating league this year. Both ends.
And well, Is it the greatest league in the world at this point? Or
I think it's probably the most exciting. Yeah, it's and in America, our league's the most exciting because you got Wrexham and Birmingham 1 and 2. So it's the American owners. The only one that's that side down at the moment is Huddersfield with American owners, right? If they'd gone up 3, it'd be like it's the American invasion of League One. So, and then you got Wrexham who had a great win at the week. Not Wrexham, Wickham who had a great win, late winner at the weekend. Who were basically like breathing down the neck of Wrexham. So that's fascinating. And again, ask me to pick a winner from the playoffs, and I'd say to you,
it's not quite as good a time for American owners in League Two, with
no.
6 points adrift. They're off the bottom finally with a couple of wins.
Yeah, they've had a pick
some life there. Still, what are we? 6 points adrift with a worse goal difference with 4 to play.
They're going to win every game.
Yeah, and then Gillingham, as we've talked about before, who are really building for next season now.
I really fancy Charlton to win actually promotion from the playoffs in League One.
Yeah. What is it about them?
They're winning games. I think they've won. How many games now have they won? I think we're the only team that's beaten them in the last 6-7 weeks, I think. I think they're the form team. I think, Nathan Jones, he's that type of manager who has you at it, all the way to the end of the season. He has the experience of getting out of the league before with Luton. I do. I really have a strong feeling that they're going to win the playoffs. And I'll say this, and I'll be probably wrong. Actually, they'll blitz the playoffs. So I do. I just have this really funny feeling that's going to be the way it is.
Well, it's all getting to be exciting. And nerve-wracking and everything at the same time. So
big time.
We'll call it a day for today and let you get on with your get some rest.
Have a shower, get a shower. I've got a Zoom call at 4:30, so have a shower. Try and wake the fuck up. Thank you very much for all the support, all the messages. It's lovely. Obviously, Robster, who runs our social media account, he's gone after people. He needs to calm down. It's like
he's got lots of bones to pick with people.
Calm down, enjoy the win, take a break on social media. So it's like, Jesus, he's falling out with everyone on there. Just chill.
Football's a cycle. I mean, you enjoy the wins, but that you're going to have some
round the corner. You get your arse kicked. You saw it with Bradford this week. You saw it with us in Northampton last week. So complacency is your greatest enemy. And, consistency is the hardest thing. So long may we all be very consistent in our winning. That's what we need to do.
All right. Well, we'll do our best.
Sign off.
Yeah. We'll do our best to be back next week in amongst all the travel because, there'll only be a couple of games to go at that stage. So we'll have to find some time. But thank you, everybody, as always, for joining us. I know there's been a lot of messages from listeners to the pod as well, just congratulating you and the team on the win.
Brilliant.
So,
love it. Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. Talk soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.